Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Wait times at Tasmania's emergency departments have been labelled the country's worst, with staggering numbers of patients left hours awaiting admission. The new figures rubbing more salt into the wounds as burnt-out staff desperately call for government intervention.
Painting another grim picture for the health of our public hospitals.
Sadly in Tassie we really are falling behind.
The latest Australian Institute of Health and Welfare report giving the Tasmanian system an unwanted diagnosis, named and shamed as the worst in the country, with almost 4 in 5 patients spending more than 4 hours in emergency departments before being admitted.
This is almost twice the national average. We need to really change this. Our hospitals are really in big trouble.
It's another unwelcome blow for a system buckling under increased pressure.
It's absolutely heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking for our members who suffer the brunt and the consequence of those wait times.
Crying out for more support and immediate intervention to address chronic concerns.
It's pretty damaging, to be honest. Not only is it really affecting paramedics because they can't actually get out there and do their job, because the reason why we are here are for the people of Tasmania.
They have solutions for some of the blockages that we're seeing right across the hospital system, and this government's not listening to them.
The state government is seeing today's report in a different light, pointing to a record number of elective surgeries performed in Tasmania, with more than 21,000 patients treated. The Health Minister blaming our overstretched emergency rooms on his federal colleagues, saying around 40% of ED presentations would be better treated by a GP, which are funded by the Commonwealth.
There's a long way to go. We're seeing good support in areas from state government, but we need to do more.
A system desperately calling for more than a band-aid solution. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
A focus on therapeutic rehabilitation and diversion services are the focus of Tasmania's new blueprint for youth justice. The long-awaited document released today as the government's response to the Commission of Inquiry continued to be scrutinised.
Big changes are slated for youth justice in coming years, and the final blueprint is now in.
This document takes the draft that we had before and it adds the relevant recommendations and findings from the Commission of Inquiry's report.
It maps out the transition from Ashley to a new smaller therapeutic facility, now due by 2026.
It also focuses very heavily on earlier intervention and diversion from criminal activity and the youth justice system.
The blueprint released as Commission of Inquiry scrutiny hearings continue. It's been revealed the state knows who at least 20 of the 22 people who received misconduct notices are, with most departing the state service.
Of the 7 remaining individuals, 6 are not in the workplace, and the remaining individual does not have a child-facing role.
But it's the ministerial involvement, or lack thereof, that's come under fire.
Ministers should be making sure that anything that's going on in their portfolio, when it concerns the welfare of children in particular, that they're across that, and if there are risks that have been identified, that they do everything to remove those risks.
I am confident in the processes that have been established across the state service, those involving the heads of agency.
Accountability on the minds of those watching on too. Amanda Duncan says she's seen some health workers promoted despite overlooking child safety issues.
One person being in patient safety and quality control, and that's completely inappropriate. So I don't understand why the government don't want to know who these individuals are and make sure that they're not in positions that will affect change.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
New details have emerged about the charges laid against a Supreme Court justice. On Friday, Gregory Peter Geeson was charged with emotional abuse or intimidation and common assault. Court documents show he's alleged to have tracked a person's movements using technology, as well as being accused of exhibiting jealousy, rage, anger and aggression. Mr Geeson is also alleged to have grabbed the person by the arms, striking their chest with his hand. Justice Geeson was bailed to reappear in court in February. Parliament will sit next week to decide on his future. A global education survey has revealed a concerning decline in academic progress, including in Australia. Meanwhile, the data has sparked calls from state Labor for the Liberal government to better prioritise education. Our state recorded the lowest number of students at or above the national standard for mathematical, scientific and reading literacy. And Tasmanian students were more than 100 points behind Singapore when it came to maths.
I would like to see Minister Yench leading the reforms in literacy and the change in practice that's needed across schools in a much more proactive way.
The state government says Tasmanian schools tend to perform comparably or above other schools with students of a similar background, but adds it's committed to improving education outcomes. A major new accommodation centre for women has been proposed on a St Vincent de Paul site in Hobart. The modern facility is close to the CBD to allow for greater opportunities for community connection.
Big plans to transform this space into major short-term accommodation for women in need.
The guiding force for selection of those who will become residents of this new facility will of course be the waiting list for social housing.
The Crisis Transitional Centre on Argyle Street will accommodate 38 women over the age of 55. That group's still one of the fastest growing demographics in desperate need of assistance.
Too often we see women over 55 who've spent their years raising children, supporting their elders, who then find themselves in relationship difficulties or in circumstances where a partner has passed.
The central location ideal for getting them back into the community.
Health, education, employment, but also it's co-located with St Vincent de Paul Society offices, which means that emergency relief funding if things go wrong.
A state government housing call was met with almost $17 million through the Federal Social Housing Accelerator program. And there's more to come as our housing crisis worsens.
This is just the start. We hope to deliver around 1,200 homes in 5 years to Tasmania through Housing Australia.
While the group still need to lodge a planning application with Hobart City Council.
So we would certainly welcome seeing more of this kind of proposal come to us.
And fingers remain crossed the plans will continue quickly to keep more vulnerable women safer sooner. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Longford is a town with a proud history and it's just added another 8 local legends to its Walk of Fame. Former premiers, a golfer and Longford's founding publicans among those honoured.
When the grandstand at Longford Racecourse burnt down, Jim Osborne was determined to rebuild it.
I believe it can be done, I believe it must be done, and I believe it will be done.
And done it was, still seating punters to this day.
He wrote a lot of letters and pestered a lot of politicians and finally got a grant and organised fundraising and had it rebuilt.
The soldier, farmer and town councillor, one of 8 locals added to the Longford Legends Walk today. The town has produced 3 Tasmanian premiers, William Weston, Albert Solomon and Walter Lee, all given the honour. And golfer Lucy Harrison, one of only 3 Tasmanians to win the Australian Ladies Amateur Championship and one of the first inductees to Tasmania's Sporting Hall of Fame.
She was a wonderful lady and certainly held a lot of records. Yes, I'm very proud of her.
Also inducted, William and Mary Dodry, who arrived as children on convict ships and built and ran the Blenheim Hotel, among other businesses. And composer Catherine Parker. Her most famous work, Down Longford Way, is still played around the world today. With these newest additions, there are now 20 Longford stories being told along the Legends Walk, but the track isn't complete just yet. There are plans to keep it going right around the park.
We love the stories of this town, and the stories are about people, starting with the Aboriginal people, and they are really larger than life, and so that's why we thought they could be remembered and honoured.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
A Good Samaritan has leapt into action after discovering a dangerous sinkhole on a busy Launceston street last night. The quick-thinking motorcyclist taking public safety into his own hands, controlling peak hour traffic along Talbot Road for around 2 hours before help arrived.
Didn't want anyone to get hurt from a hole in the road. Untended, a motorcyclist catching a front wheel could potentially lose their lives.
The patched-up sinkhole saga taking a new twist today with a burst water main causing more daytime traffic disruption. TasWater returned to the scene this afternoon to try and rectify the issue. Rental scooters can now only be left in specific areas in the Launceston CBD as new parking zones come into force. The app will only allow riders to end their trip if the scooter is parked in one of 38 areas marked around the city. It's in response to community feedback. A new public art program is now open, featuring 200 postcards hanging from the walls of Hobart's Waterside Pavilion. Students sharing their own interpretations of epoch in conjunction with the exhibition currently on display at TMAG.
So some of the postcards are very humorous and some are on the very important theme of things like climate change and what kids want to see for the future.
This year's winner says her work was centred around finding the key to the future.
It's cool because I haven't had my artwork up displayed before, so it's exciting.
The installation is free to view until Saturday.
The Hurricanes have taken to the field together for the first time this season in a practice match, gearing up for Monday's opening game against the Sixers in Launceston, with one of their new imports already putting his hand up for international selection.
Back together for a new season. New faces and old Hurricanes favourites using this week to gel, starting with a practice match this morning.
This is just a good opportunity for us to play as a group and to see each other and work out who's going to best play each of their roles.
First up is the Sydney Sixers in Launceston on Monday. The coach says who plays where will be decided game by game. He's confident in the squad's depth at both ends of the wicket.
Every team loves multiple options in their batting and their bowling lineups. It allows us to bat deep and gives the captain plenty of options with the ball.
Further boosted by the return of 4 players from Australia's T20 series against India.
Wonderful preparation for them, great for the organisation to have 4 representatives in India last week.
One of the new imports is looking to make an impact. Sam Hain putting his hand up to bat in the top 4.
I feel like I've taken my game to new heights. I'm really comfortable as a player and a person. I want to be out in the middle.
The Gold Coast-raised Englishman is having a breakout 2023. His big hitting style saw him play for England twice in September, hitting 89 against Ireland in an ODI game. The former Brisbane Heat batter is keen for another crack at international level.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity Hobart has given me. I'm very looking forward to 10 games here and really trying to push my case.
I have been on the other end of his performances with the Brisbane Heat and he's a high quality batsman.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
It hasn't been a good day out for our under-19 cricket side, going down to South Australia in the first final at the National Championships. Skipper Jesse Wilmot leading scoring with 49 not out. The South Aussies matching the 127 target in just 33 overs. They play a consolation game against the Northern Territory tomorrow. Tasmania's big win over Adelaide has come at a cost for the visitors, with the 36ers sacking head coach CJ Broughton. Adelaide recorded its equal lowest score since 2009 in the Jack Jumpers' 94-59 win. The heavy loss leaves them languishing in second last place on the ladder. Both Broughton and star player Dejan Vasilovic pointed the finger at the team's travel schedule. Upset at playing in Hobart just 48 hours after a game in New Zealand. Club legend Scott Ninnis will take charge for the rest of the year.
Good evening. It was warm and dry across Tasmania today with cloudy conditions over the north and the southwest. Hobart, Launceston and Burnie all 23, Devonport 20 degrees. 23 also for Friendly Beaches and Bushy Park, St Helens and Grove 21, Smithton 20, Flinders Island and Lowhead 19, King Island and Strawn 18, Lyweenie 17 after an overnight low of 4 degrees. Areas of low cloud are mostly seen across the southwest with bands of high cloud crossing the state during the day. Thunderstorm activity is brewing over Arnhem Land and most of the central NT. A band of mid-level cloud with embedded thunderstorms sits over central parts of WA. Tomorrow, heat lows sit over the interior of WA with an associated trough extending into mid-New South Wales. West to northwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots, although only 5 to 15 knots about the north, and west reaching 30 knots in the south rather. West to southwesterly swells in the west and south, building 2 to 3 3 metres. A strong wind warning has been issued tomorrow between Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. Tomorrow, Hobart, partly cloudy 24, partly cloudy also in Cygnet, and New Norfolk sharing a top of 25. Mostly sunny in the north, Launceston 26, Devonport 22, 27's the top for Campbelltown. Partly cloudy towards the west tomorrow, Burnie 21, Strawn 19, 22 degrees for Smithton. St Helens sunny and Fingal both 25, much the same in Swansea 23. Forecast for Friday, showers about the west extending statewide in the afternoon with possible evening thunderstorms about the north. Saturday, statewide showers continue, contracting from the west during the day and in the south during the evening. Sunday, light showers about the north, otherwise fine elsewhere. Looking across the nation tomorrow, mostly sunny in Perth 28, Melbourne fine 24, partly cloudy in Sydney 28. Possible storms and rainfall predicted for Darwin, they're chasing 34 degrees. And right now in Hobart, it's partly cloudy 19. Very similar in Launceston with 20 and 19 in Devonport. That's all from me for the midweek forecast, Kim.
And that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.